Good afternoon. Today we're studying the Gospel of Mark, chapter 1, verses 35 through 45. Rising very early in the morning, while it was still dark, he departed and went out to a desolate place, and there he prayed. And Simon and those who were with him searched for him. And they found him and said to him, "Everyone is looking for you." And he said to them, "Let us go on to the next towns, that I may preach there also, for that is why I came out." And he went throughout all Galilee, preaching in their synagogues and casting out demons. And a leper came to him, imploring him, and kneeling, said to him, "If you will, you can make me clean." Moved with pity, he stretched out his hand and touched him, and said to him, "I will, be clean." And immediately the leprosy left him, and he was made clean. And Jesus sternly charged him and sent him away at once, and said to him, "See that you say nothing to anyone, but go, show yourself to the priest, and offer for your cleansing what Moses commanded, for a proof to them." And he went out and began to talk freely about it, and to spread the news, so that Jesus could no longer openly enter a town, but was out in desolate places, and people were coming to him from every quarter. In this passage, we got a couple of things that really want to focus on. And the first one is that Jesus in verse 35 does something that speaks to his humanity. You know, Jesus is fully human and fully God. Jesus rises very early in the morning and goes out to pray. This was a pattern for Jesus that he was always in prayer. He was in close contact with the Father. He said on more than one occasion, I have to do the will of my Father. I can only do what my Father says. He was not a puppet or a robot. He was obedient. He was doing what God said. And the reason that he knew what God was saying was because of prayer. Jesus could not do so much what you and I can do, in that he couldn't just read his Bible and pray, because he didn't have that option. The scrolls were kept at the synagogue, for one thing. Just a regular person didn't have that. But Jesus he did have the scriptures in a sense, because he had so much of it memorized. But he rose early in the morning. Now, what Jesus was doing there is setting the tone for his day. I know a lot of people would like to make all sorts of reasons why it's okay to have your time with God at any time, day or night. I would not say that there is a bad time to spend time with God. But if we are going to follow Jesus' pattern, or David's pattern, or many of the great Christians of the past, we're going to do that in the morning. We're going to start our day off that way. The main reason against that, the argument against it, is that, well, I don't like to get up in the morning, or it's hard for me to get up in the morning, or I'm not a morning person. Sure. It's my belief that a morning person is someone who gets up in the morning, and is dubbed that by someone that doesn't get up in the morning. It could be an unpopular opinion. But starting your day off sets the tone for your day. Praying at the end of the day is a great thing, but it's a different thing. Jesus got up early in the morning to pray, and thereby just set the agenda, set the tone for his whole day. It's interesting that the disciples there came out, and they were looking for him, and they finally found him. They're like, "What are you doing? We got, people that are here. They want to see you and all." But Jesus, his response was, "Yeah, we're moving on." Because Jesus wasn't trying to build a localized following. There were a bunch of people there that wanted to see him. They were asking the disciples about him. And they were, a crowd was gathering. But Jesus is not trying to do that. He's not trying to set up a place where if you want to see Jesus, you go to that place. No, Jesus is going to the people. And Jesus is still going to where people are, even today. Now, in the second half of this section, we see a leper comes to Jesus, a man with leprosy. And the disease was so bad that the one that was stricken with this disease would be a complete outcast, forced to live completely apart from other people, never to have human contact. And if anyone got close, they were to cry out, "Leper, unclean." And it was just a horrible, horrible thing. Furthermore, the leprosy was not just a skin disease, though that might be bad enough, but it was, to the blood and the joints. And a person with leprosy would just slowly dying. And they were losing their extremities. It was just horrifying in every single way possible. Because they were basically a walking corpse, they were ritually unclean. They were ceremonially unclean. They could not take part in the regular religious life of the community. And because they were like a corpse, because they were ritually and ceremonially unclean, anyone that touched them would be unclean as well. This is the kind of person that came to Jesus and knelt right at his feet and said, "If you want to, you can make me clean." And the leper is expressing his faith in Jesus. He has apparently heard the stories, maybe seen from afar, that Jesus commanded the demon to come out of the demon-possessed one, that he's healed other people, that he has this authority. And so he's ready to believe. If you want to, you can make me clean. And Jesus said, "You know what? I do want to." And Jesus touched him, which is really interesting because Jesus touched him and thereby was risking that pollution, not only contracting the disease, which was a real thing, but also becoming ceremonially unclean himself. But what happens? When Jesus touches him, Mark's favorite word comes up. Immediately, the leprosy left this man. Immediately, he was healed, which I don't know how you can get around thinking that what that's saying is he looked a certain way, and then Jesus touched him, and he looked different. If he had been losing parts of himself, which is a gross thing to think about, but that's leprosy, I just have to believe that that was restored. And lest you think, well, there's nothing that says that. It says immediately the leprosy left him. And, like later on, we know at the night Jesus was arrested, Peter took out a sword, struck the high priest's servant, cut off his ear. Jesus restored his ear. So, I don't know why we would assume that Jesus couldn't do that. But this man's leprosy left him, and he was different. And Jesus then tells him to go see the priest and follow the law of Moses that says they had certain rituals, so he could be then declared ceremonially clean. And so Jesus is, in this sense, fulfilling the law. Also, then it would be a great testament to the priest. But then he says something really interesting. Don't tell anybody. That is a tall order, because this man who has been living his life for a long time, having to tell everybody that he has leprosy and stay away from me, now wants to tell everybody what Jesus has done for him. Now, we might... we're not going to come to a conclusion on whether what the ethical import of this man telling. I mean, he didn't do what Jesus said, and Jesus told him not to do this because it was going to cause big problems for Jesus, because there'd just be this huge crowd. You might wonder, why did Jesus not want that? Because Jesus wasn't building a ministry based on miracles and healings. Jesus is interested in something deeper. This man's leprosy is like the sin that we're all born with. We have a problem that we cannot get away from. We have a problem that we cannot fix ourselves. We have a problem that is polluting us. It's making us unclean. If we come to Jesus in faith, He can touch us and make us clean. He can forgive us of our sin and cleanse us from unrighteousness. And in the process of doing so, when He died on the cross, what He did was He became unclean so I could become clean. He took my sin so I wouldn't have sin. The beautiful thing is that Jesus in His power does not have to remain unclean Himself. What a great story that Mark ends this first chapter with. And what a great thing for us to remember, a couple of good takeaways from this passage. I hope that you're having a great day, that you're staying in God's Word, and I will see you again next time. God bless.